Welcome back, everybody. My name is All Fun and Games. I stream every day on Twitch TV, and I also make fun little videos here on YouTube. Today, we're going to be talking about the spear, our handy-dandy little spear. In a few other videos going forward, I'm going to be showcasing pretty much every weapon in Don't Starve Together, so you can kind of get a glimpse into what it feels like to actually have a decent weapon, or maybe not so decent of a weapon. Previously, I made a video showcasing about the sword at hand, or the spear at hand, which of course was known as the fencing sword. And people were asking questions, well, what about the spear? Tell me more about the spear. So here we are. In Don't Starve Together, when you get yourself a science machine, finally, you can now craft yourself a spear. Of course, you can't craft a spear without one because you just don't have that ability yet. However, if you are Wickerbottom, sure you can. Now, in Don't Starve Together, when you approach your science machine, it's going to ask you for 2 twigs, 1 rope, and 1 flint. Of course, you get yourself a rope by gathering 3 grass, making yourself the rope, and crafting yourself a spear. When you finally have the spear, well, guess what? Your spear does a decent amount of damage. Not a lot, so I probably would put the spear a little bit lower on the actual tier list. Now, of course, when we look at all of our available weaponry, now, this is not all of them, of course, but most of the ones that are easily available. We have, the boomerang, the handbat, which is one of my favorites, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So in reality, it's actually a fairly decent weapon, but there are multiple different other ones out there, which we'll go over in the future. As for gathering it, difficulty-wise, the spear is fairly easy to get, and the abundance of resources out there are pretty decent. Not to mention, too, you can take the spear and craft it into other things, so it's not the worst. For example, the spear can be crafted into a ice staff and a fire staff, and blah 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 blah. So yes, the spear is fairly decent. When you take your spear, you get 150 attacks with it at 34 damage apiece, meaning that when you decide to attack something, you're doing an okay amount of damage. Now, if there were some spiders around here per se, let's go ahead and spawn in some spiders, shall we? And of course, I call them spiders, not spooters, because I'm not a big fan when people call things spooters, but that's just me. Hey, look, there's a spider right here at 100 HP, and you can go ahead and stun lock some spiders and do a fairly decent amount of damage. I don't even have any armor on. I wouldn't recommend doing this at home, but of course, you can tell that I've gathered a few spiders and taken care of them pretty quickly. The one thing to notice, which of course, if I spawn in the spider again, just one by itself this time. Let's just do one. I guess I could have just done this. When you attack, you can attack at a fairly decent attack rate. Not the fastest, but fairly decent. This is something to note when it comes to weapons and Don't Starve Together. There are some weapons that attack a lot faster, and there's a lot of weapons that attack a lot slower. And the spear is kind of in the middle there at speeds. I'm not going to give you like ideal numbers, because does it really matter if it's 0.1 seconds or not? No, it doesn't. It just matters that it's fairly decent. So overall, the spear is okay to actually craft and use as a beginner weapon in Don't Starve Together. As for putting it in a weapon tier list, that's coming later on in another video, so stay tuned for that. But regardless, thanks again for watching. I will see you in the next video.